give you a rundown of Netflix Slam. I was out in Vegas. It started with the trip from hell. Everyone's got a flight story, right? Everyone has been delayed. This one was a scary one, right? So it was apparently like 50 knots. Below it, you can land. Above it, you cannot land. So they said at the beginning of the flight, they get on. Hello, this is your captain speaking. Once we approach Vegas, basically if it's windy, we're not going to land. And it's like there's an outside chance of that happening. It's like, okay, that would suck. You know, we'd be diverted. So, 2 hours left in the flight. They're like, it's below, it's going down. Like, no problem. We're going to be able to land in Vegas. I'm like, awesome. Time of life back. So we got to be, I don't know, 1,000 yards. Like, we're in the strip. Like, we're landing. You can see buildings. Like, I don't know if anyone's landed in Vegas. We are landing. Vegas is all around us. All of a sudden, the plane goes, starts rocking side to side. You're going. You hear people like start to get out bags. Like it was, and then pilot pulls up, straight up in the air, as much as you can pull up. We fly around for 2 minutes. I'm like, this is bad. This is really bad. And he goes, we're diverting to Phoenix. I'm like, oh, no. Sucks because we were diverted to Phoenix, but bonus because I didn't have to go to my production meeting that night. So, silver linings. Land in Phoenix. Get off the plane because they had to clean it because people started vomiting. So we get off the plane, but sitting like 3 rows ahead of me, and I may have met the nicest celebrity I've ever met in my life, was also on the diverted flight from Charlotte to Vegas. He was going to see U2, their last show at the Sphere, and he didn't quite make it. But Marcus Mumford from Mumford & Sons was sitting three rows ahead of us. And then so we're kind of like in the same space, and he's doing he's like, I feel like he thinks I'm Stifler. Anyway, so we kind of and I finally just said, hey, Marcus, my name's Andy, and he's like, oh yeah, I know you. And so we started talking. Guy's like the nicest guy I've ever met. Like just a dude, like not upset about the diversion, kind of just hanging. He's like, oh, I'm bummed. I wish I could have got there. He talked about kids. And he was like the nicest guy ever. It was like such a pleasant surprise. Like he was awesome.
So did he just turn around and just like get back on a plane and go home?
No, he was like, I mean, he had this weird thing. He was like, oh man, this stinks. Like I have a 6 a.m. flight out of Vegas to LA tomorrow. I was just coming in for the deal. And I was like, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. There's really not any good options. Like, I don't feel like getting in a car and driving right now. I was like, anyways, but he got back on the flight to Vegas, but like super nice, cool, like dude. I'm like, this guy's played to hundreds of thousands of people before. Anyways, it was like pleasant surprise. So end up getting to Vegas late that night. Supposed to land around, I don't know, 5:30. Ended up landing like around 11 or something like that. So not fun, but c'est la vie, happens with travel. I'm never, ever, ever going to be the person that tweets at an airline. Is there a more annoying tweet than, I'm never going to fly American again because of wind? Like, that's out of the control. Everyone working on the flight, like, no one's in a good mood. No one's happy about it. We don't need to throw out toys. But I will say, like, the people on the flight were awesome. Like, everyone was, like, in a super good mood. No one was acting like a jackass, which is rare at airports and airplanes and stuff. So anyways, we get to Vegas, do the Netflix Slam. Obviously, this is a new thing. Netflix streaming live tennis. Setting up the Bay, was an arena by the Mandalay Bay, put on by MGM in partnership with Netflix. They put together like a pretty cool group of characters to call the match, right? You have Patrick McEnroe, Jim Courier, who I think is the best commentator in tennis, did the play-by-play. Andre Agassi, Prakash Armitage, and Kay Adams. We did the studio set. So before, kind of during switchovers, afterwards, for me, it's like anytime there's a chance to hang out with Andre, I'm pumped. And if I'm getting paid for it, even better, But it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to hear what your opinion is on it, Mike, producer Mike, because like in person, there wasn't a seat in the house. People were thirsty. I think there was like a full active awareness of the fact that this could be the last time that anyone sees Rafa, right? He's going to play Indian Wells, but I think that'll probably be his last hardcourt match or tournament ever. We may have just watched his last indoor match ever. Certainly the last like kind of spectacle exhibition as an active player. And so the crowd was kind of there for it, and like a perfect storyline passing of the torch to Carlos Alcaraz, who can now draw that type of crowd on his own, right? And filling the shoes of Rafa so well, to have two champions, older, younger, it was all just, it was a very obvious and great storyline. And they played well. Carlos looking for a little bit. There was some question marks about his ankle after he turned it in Rio. He wasn't running full out. Like, he would run to his forehand. He wouldn't put on the brakes like he does so well, and then kind of get back into the court. He kind of like ran through the ball. Neither of them served very well. But there were some good moments, and the drama of the match was fantastic. I think people often equate, like, if a match is dramatic, they say it's a great match, and I don't always necessarily agree with that. I don't think it was a great match from kind of the balls and strikes of it, but the drama was high. Rafa saves 5 match points. It was a great event, considering they'd never done it before, at least in the arena. I obviously can't watch because I'm doing the television, but in the arena, I thought it went off great. At 10 out of 10, high drama, went to the tiebreaker. They both seemed happy and into it, and they came out and like were actually playing from the word go. It wasn't like a laughy, jokey thing the entire time. But how did it look on TV?
I mean, it looked fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was the most polished live event that Netflix has done so far, and it felt like there were stakes. Like, when it was coming through the screen that the guys wanted to be there,
Yeah.
and there was an element of them that they wanted to win. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just, hey, we're out here having a good time with mics on. So I really appreciated that, and honestly, I watched it, had it on when the kids were running around, and Zoe, our oldest, actually sat down and watched, the final set with me, and she really enjoyed it. She was asking me a lot of questions. I wish they would have let Andre speak a little bit more during the when he was in the booth. Yeah. Just to hear more of what he was saying, just because it is an exhibition and wasn't so serious. But all in all, I would give it a A+.
Yeah. And Andre, I mean, I was there with him. You could tell that he has all this bottled up knowledge that he just wants to release. And frankly speaking, we did 7 minutes off the top with 4 people at a desk. Like, it's never gonna, you're not gonna have Andre kind of get on one of his legendary monologues. I'm always there for it. I think it's fascinating. I hope that we have him on, and we'll certainly give him all the space he needs anytime. If I could do a show or a pregame show or with someone in tennis, it would probably be Andre. Obviously my idol, but just if you get that engine going, his brain just works, and the way he sees patterns and what he would do to break someone down. When we were open the show, do the studio, kind of talk about what's to come, really fun. And then I think my favorite part of the entire thing was kicked it up to the booth to Jim and Patrick. And then Andre and I just sat there and watched like the first 5 or 6 games and talking about, Carlos and what he needs to improve and how Rafa looks. And, just talking shop with someone who has that tennis IQ is like my favorite. It's a complete nerd out. So that was really fun. And it was great. Like, the event was great. It was well put on. There were a lot of production meetings. I kind of got the confirmation bias that I don't think I needed. We come on here and we have, we'll come in and I'll write the show. We have a thread going with producer Mike, John Wertheim, and I throughout the week, kind of just storylines. What do we want to do? What do we want to talk about? And then I'll kind of come in here 30 minutes before we go on and kind of write down order and kind of make the final call on what we actually talk about. I do not run that by John. He just kind of is ready to react, and I think that's better. But not a lot of meetings, which I like. I think I like kind of that first reaction. And I think when things are on television and overly rehearsed, you kind of lose a little bit of that magic. And so I don't know that full-time commentary and that sort of thing is for me. So I'm thankful for you all for listening to us on Served and making this a viable medium to do and talk about tennis the way that I like to, kind of get in the weeds and drill down on subjects and hopefully show you a different side with some interviews. Kim was great. Max Eisenbo was great. And hopefully you enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing it. So this has been great. Netflix Slam was great, and I'm happy to be back here being able to expand on a thought a little bit. And I would love to get Andre on sometime, and frankly, I'd love to work with him at length anytime also. I think he is just I'm happy he's kind of coming back into tennis a little bit. He's been a bit of a recluse for a while. And John and I think are going to talk about that for next week's show a little bit more in depth. But listen, we are lucky to have had someone like Rafa Nadal in tennis for as long as we have. Every single person he comes across, it's like he doesn't have an off day with people, right? Shaking hands of every single person. He is just, there's no chance he can feel like doing that crap every day. There's just no chance. True gentleman. I like that it felt like a celebration of him and like a thank you for what you've given us over the years. I thought it was cool, simultaneously early start in the States, prime time in Spain on Netflix. The streaming nature of things, I think, makes these one-night events extremely viable. I mean, it's Pandora's box with kind of the one-night exhibition. You can put it in Vegas. You can tell a story. You can pick your players. So I think and sense that there will be a lot more of this. I think it's a great thing. I like that tennis is now being addressed in the streaming world a little bit. Obviously, Netflix has liked it with the Untold doc with Marty, Breakpoint now in its second season. They're obviously getting positive feedback enough to want more tennis programming, which is great for the tennis ecosystem at large. I think there's like this weird pop culture moment going where I don't think tennis has ever been more respected for how hard it is. I think there's a recognition. I remember, when I was playing and even working on a sports show with other athletes where it's like tennis was viewed as this like soft sport. And, now I think people are finally understanding like it's a drain mentally, physically, the travel. And I think tennis, at least mainstream, is finally getting the respect that it deserves for how hard it is. But I had a blast out in Vegas.